What's the weirdest dream you've ever had? The one in which my grandma scored a goal for Manchester United while simultaneously robbing a bank. I once dreamed I was dating Hitler. He liked to wear sweaters and was real sorry about the Holocaust. When I was about 8 or 9 years old, I would have these dreams that I was pushing boulders up a hill. Sometimes there would be a rubber band holding them back, so I was just pushing with all my might and not going anywhere. I would wake up exhausted. It was a pretty stressful dream to be having as a kid. My best friend ripped of my balls and threw them at me. One got stuck between my teeth by some vein hanging off it. As I was bleeding out while standing on a grass field, I hear someone laughing behind me. I turn around and see a sumo wrestler rolling around lodging in a ditch. Barely able to talk, he asked if I need a toothpick to get your balls out of your mouth. I was 12 yo, now I'm 29, and I can still remember the look he gave me. I once dreamt that I was following Winston Churchill in a castle, and before we went down the stairs he showed me that he was carrying a pistol. It was a Colt 1911. When I woke up I was like, that was specific. So I searched it up and lo and behold, Churchill was carrying a Colt 1911 during most of WW2. I had a dream when I was younger where I was in hell face to face with Satan himself, and a glowing white sword crashed into the ground from out of nowhere, and we basically had a sword fight, and I ended up cutting his head off. This was like 10 years ago, and I remember it vividly. I dreamt I was chopping carrots with the Grim Reaper dicing with death. One of my earliest memories is a dream where this divine entity was telling me something and me unconsciously knowing I am now born and it will happen again and again. It's really weird and still vivid after decades. Never really shared this with anyone because of its weirdness. You'll never forget it, and it's the most vividly I can remember a dream. End of the world. I'm in front of what looks like the Golden Gate Bridge and there's a river of blood everywhere, with body parts and half-dead people torsos writhing around on the ground, speaking to me, begging me to kill them. Like a scene from hell. Hundreds of bodies in a pool of decaying body parts and coagulating blood, some gurgling blood out as they beg me to end their misery. I'm suddenly on the middle of the bridge looking out to the sea when I see a huge comet strike the ocean, far away. The half-dead people got really excited, seemingly knowing the end was seconds away. Their voices got more and more excited as a mega tsunami approached, thousands of feet high. I was looking almost straight up at the wave when it hit and I woke. Widespread availability of World War II surplus led to a boom in recreational U-boat ownership, and people were sailing around the world in old German submarines. I once dreamt in Charlie and Lola animation where this girl was dancing with this boy, but grew into a monster and ripped his gums out. Right after, there was another dream in a children's book animation that had a little boy drinking his dog's blood. It was years ago, but it still traumatizes me. A drunken middle-aged Doug Funny walked up to me and said he needed a ride because he drank too many Purple Fruit Delights. I drove him in a 1970s New York taxi to a lake. He then dramatically stared at the moon while smoking a cigarette and told me, "Things aren't going well with Patty Mayonnaise and I just don't know anymore." Edit. I later made this HTTPS because of that dream. Deborah Wilson from Mad TV was writhing on the ground in pleasure or agony, and her bottom half turned into a big white termite queen-looking part, with green and red spikes on it. These little eggs would come out of her shoulder and I could see baby space termite demons in them. But she would roll over and pop them, and every time she did, a laugh track played. I knew it was the same laugh track from the O.J. Simpson bloopers, blunders and boners skit from Mad TV, because I recognized it in my dream, and my dream was telling me it was the same laugh track. This was last night. I had sex with Tupac at the grocery store. I was a contestant on a knockoff version of The Price is Right with Jeff Bezos as the host. Instead of it being a normal game, you had to compete head-to-head with multiple people in a tournament. I was one of the last 2 people. The other was this woman who was super pumped to be on the show, while I was just confused as to how I'd been thrown into this situation. In the last round, Jeff Bezos stood up and said, "All right, contestants, it's time for a physical challenge. If you complete this, you'll win an EWCAR." And then they pulled back the curtain to reveal that it was a crappy Kia car in bright green. The woman I was up against was going absolutely nuts, jumping up and down and screaming. Then Jeff Bezos said, "All right, contestants, all you have to do is pee your pants. It's free, it's easy, it's fun. Just pee your pants." I looked over at the car and realized this car is crappier than the one I drive right now. There's no way this is real, and then I woke up. Thankfully I did not pee my pants. Well, there was this squid princess, and she had tentacles. And we were underwater while she oh my, well, never mind. I once had a fever dream about evil carrot. Morphine-induced. Standing in a circus-type tent that spans acres with hundreds of other people. We are all casually lifting up large sheets of a mylar-looking material and floating them into the air, then walking and catching one as it slowly comes down. Repeat. I had a dream that I was getting chased by a liger. Yes, a tiger and a lion in one, and it's an actual animal. A bunch of skeletons lined up while the sound of silence played in the background.